the mayor could not be here today. She's traveling out of town, so I'm here filling in for her. And I just want to present this proclamation, and I'm going to present it to Dr. Hillsman. So if you could come up. And I think we have a tradition not to read through the whole proclamation, which I don't mind not doing today. But a few things I just want to say real quick before I read a little bit. Black History Month, as we know, is the month that we celebrate Black history. But I think it's real important to note that Black Americans in this country have contributed more than a month's worth of technology, culture, religion, and built a lot of what you see here, a lot of what you see in other states in the United States. So it's important to know, I know I see a lot of adults here, we have a lot of children here, that it's not just a month, but it's a month that we celebrate, but it's really an everyday thing that we need to work towards and recognize not only Black history, but history in general, because nobody really is a native here. I don't know if anybody is a Native American here. Everybody came from somewhere else. And we have a lot of cultures that are coming to Syracuse right now that we need to embrace. When you embrace culture, when you embrace new races, you have a better city. So I want to recognize February, this day, February 28th, is Black History Month. And I think it's fitting that we give this to you, the proclamation to you. So.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Once a year, we celebrate what we call Black History Month. The origins of Black History Month are embedded in history, not from 1619, when the first Africans were brought to the colonies in chains, but we celebrate Black History Month 365 days a year and celebrate it for millenniums. Far too long, the past has been called in America history. And I've always wondered why it was never referred to as just our story. I guess the answer to that is history was written to tell his story, the European story, and not our collective story. Before the 13 colonies was ever conceived in the minds of men, this hemisphere was peopled by humans, whom we refer to as Native Americans, or the first people. But are you aware that archaeologists and anthropologists are now saying that the Americas, or the New World, may have been inhabited many, many centuries ago by earlier humans from Africa, from Asia, and from Europe. They surmise that these inhabitants were here millenniums before Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. It's been recorded, even then, that one or more Africans were crew members on the ships sailed by Christopher Columbus. History tells us about the Spaniards, Portuguese, the French, the English, and other European nations who came to the New World to settle and exploit the land. But does not mention that among the sailors and the officers and the armies and just the plain workers were many Africans. Some were free, some were in servitude, and that prior to the formation of the British colonies, free and indentured Americans or Africans were exploring and settling the North, Central, and South American hemispheres. Africans have been prominent throughout the formation and growth of this country and the world. But in the United States, on Black History Month, when think that the only blacks who ever made a significant contribution, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Rosetta Parks, Malcolm X, George Washington Carver, Barack Obama, Rodney King, and O.J. Simpson. There's little or no mention of the millions of heroes and sheroes who have contributed so much to the success of this country. And that is one of the reasons why there is a Black History Month. Because our story is full of heroism, happiness, good, bad, and much to make us sad. But we do have our story. The story of ancestors spread all over this planet who have been guideposts that have brought us thus far and still are preparing us for the future. We should thank you for attending tonight, and I'm sure this evening will be quite educational, and you will hear much that you did not know before. So again, I want to thank you, and may God bless you at this, the last day of Black History Month.
Lectures on the Black History theme. And the theme nationally is At the Crossroads of Freedom and Equality, the Emancipation Proclamation and the March on Washington. The year 2013 marks two important anniversaries in the history of African Americans in the United States. On January 1st, 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation set the United States on the path of ending slavery. A wartime measure issued by President Abraham Lincoln, the proclamation freed relatively few slaves, but it fueled the fire of enslaved to strike for their freedom. In many respects, Lincoln's declaration simply acknowledged the epidemic of black self-emancipation spread by black freedom crusaders like Harriet Tubman that had already commenced beyond his control. In 1963, a century later, America once again stood at the crossroads. 9 years earlier, the U.S. Supreme Court had outlawed racial segregation in public schools, but the nation had not yet committed itself to equality of citizenship. On August 28, 1963, hundreds of thousands of Americans, black and whites, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, marched to the memorial of Abraham Lincoln, the author of the Emancipation Proclamation, in continuing pursuit of equality of citizenship and self-determination. Making the sequential 150th year anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation and the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington, the Association of the Study of African American Life and History invites papers, panels, and roundtables on these related topics of black emancipation, freedom, justice, and equality, and the movements that have sought to achieve these goals. Let us continue to fight for freedom, freedom from negative social ills, fight for education and prosperity and the quality of living for youth and adults. And I want to say thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the program. And our goal for tonight is not only the entertainment, but also educational. So listen up. There's going to be a lot of facts that you might not have known, but you'll hear them tonight. Thank you.
What if there were no black folk? This is a story of a little boy named Theo who woke up one morning and asked Mom, what if there were no black people in the world? Theo ran to his room, and his mom said, well, son, let me give you a thought. Just follow me. Follow me through the day, and your question will probably be answered. And let's see what it would be like if there were no black people in the world. Get dressed, and we'll get ready and get started. Theo ran to his room to put on his clothes and shoes, but there were no shoes. His clothes were all wrinkled. He looked for the iron, but when he reached for the ironing board, it was no longer there. You see, Sarah Boone, a black woman, invented the ironing board, and Jan Matzlinger, a black man, invented the shoelancing machine. Oh, well, Mom said, go and do your hair. Theo ran in his room to comb his hair, and the comb was not there. You see, Walter Salmons, a black man, invented the comb. Theo decided that he would just brush his hair and just see what would happen there as he got dressed. But the brush was gone. You see, Lydia Newman, a black female, invented the brush. Well, he was a sight. No shoes, wrinkled clothes, hair a mess without the hair inventions of Madam C.J. Walker. Well, you get the picture. Mom and Theo, Mom said, let's do the chores around the house and then we'll take a trip to the grocery store. Theo's job was to sweep the floor. He swept and swept and swept. When he reached for the dustpan, it was not there. You see, Lord P. Ray, a black man, invented the dustpan. So he swept his pile of dirt over in the corner and left it there. He then decided, well, I'll just mop the floor. But the mop was gone. You see, Thomas Stewart, a black man, invented the mop. Theo thought to himself, I'm not having it, luck. Well, son, Mom said, we should just, let's wash the clothes and prepare the grocery list and we'll go to the store. When it was finished, Theo went to place the clothes in the dryer. The dryer was not there. You see, George Salmon, a black man, invented the clothes dryer. Theo got a pencil and some paper to prepare the list for the market. But notice that the pencil lead was broken as well. He was out of luck because John Love, a black man, invented the pencil sharpener. He reached for a pen, but it was not there because William Purvis, a black man, invented the fountain pen. As a matter of fact, Lee Burridge invented the typewriter machine and W. Levette the printing press. So they decided to head out and go on to the market. Well, when Theo opened the door, he noticed the grass was so high. It was tall. You see, the lawnmower was invented by John Bird, a black man. They made their way over to the car and found that it wouldn't go. Well, Robert Spikes, a black man, invented the automatic gear shift, and Joseph Gamow invented the supercharged system for internal combustion engines. They noticed that a few cars that were moving were running just into each other and all over the place, and there were so many wrecks. You see, Garrett Morgan, a black man, invented traffic lights. Well, it was getting late, so they walked to the market, got their groceries, and returned home. Just when they were about to put away the milk, the eggs, the butter, they noticed the refrigerator was gone. You see, John Standard, a black man, invented the refrigerator. So they put the food on the counter. By this time, they noticed that it was getting mighty cold. Theo went to turn up the heat, and what do you know? It was not there. You see, Ellen Parker, a black female, invented the heating furnace. Even in the summertime, they would have been out of luck because Frederick Jones, a black man, invented the air conditioner. It was almost time for Theo's father to ride home. He usually took the bus, but there was no bus because the precursor was the electric trolley, which was invented by another black man, Albert Robinson. He usually took the elevator from his office on the 20th floor, but there was no elevator because Alexander Miles, a black man, invented the elevator. He usually dropped off the office mail at a nearby mailbox, but it was no longer there because Philip Downing, a black man, invented the letter drop. And William Barry invented the postmarking and canceling machine. Now, Theo sat at the kitchen table with his head in his hands. When his father arrived, he asked, why? The father asked, why are you sitting in the dark? Why? Because Louis Howard Latimer, a black man, invented the filament within the light bulb. Theo quickly learned what it would be like if there were no black people in the world. Not to mention, if he ever got sick and needed blood, Charles Drew, black scientist, found a way to preserve and store blood, which led to his starting the world's first blood bank. And what if a family member had to have surgery? This would not have been possible without Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, black doctor who performed the first heart surgery. So maybe you're wondering, and the list goes on. You're wondering, just like Theo, as they were sitting in the dark, where would we be without blacks? Well, it's pretty plain to see. We could be still sitting in the dark.
When the sky shall